Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. All right, the Sweet 16 of the March Madness tournament is in the books, and the chaos has thrashed its audience into oblivion as the year of the upset continues to live on. Now, here's what happened in the Sweet 16. This time around, there was 8 games over a 2-day span, and in those 8 games, there were 3 upsets. And what else happened is the Cinderella story for the Princeton Tigers is completely over as they lost to the Creighton Blue Jays 86-75 in day 2 of the Sweet 16. And what happened in the Kansas State-Michigan State game, if you missed this, you missed one of the greatest March Madness performances of all time. And if you want to know who he is, his name is Markquis Nowell, and he plays for Kansas State. And what he did is go off for 20 points, 19 assists, and 5 steals in the 98-93 victory over the Michigan State Spartans. And this game went into overtime, and he was responsible for 12 of those 16 points. Completely ballistic, just went off. Now, a part of those 3 upsets, here is what made history even for March Madness itself, other than Markquis Nowell having such an insane game, is of the 3 upsets that happened, which were Florida Atlantic beat Tennessee, San Diego State beat Alabama, and Miami beat Houston. Now, out of those 3 upsets, Alabama and Houston were the number 1 seeds, and now with them being knocked out in the Sweet 16 for the first time ever from the Elite 8 on, the March Madness tournament will not represent the number 1 seed in any part of the bracket. And because of that, we are now going to be having a first-time champion of whoever wins this bracket, and that winner is going to be holding up that trophy nice and high because of that sweet victory. Now, out of all the games that happened, the most exciting game to watch was the UCLA Gonzaga game, and the reason is because this game went all the way down to the wire to determine the winner, and the winner ended up being Gonzaga as they beat the UCLA Bruins 79-76. And the game-winning shot ended up going to Julian Strawther, who actually practically without even trying mimicked Chris Jenkins' Villanova game-winning shot against North Carolina in the March Madness Championship a few years back. What are the odds that it looks that eerily similar? But anyways, how this game went on is that these two had their own respective halves for how great they are as a team. And the first half ended up being UCLA's half, and the second half was all of Gonzaga's half. Now, what happened in the first half is that this game started off with Gonzaga and UCLA starting fast with fast breaks, going shot for shot, bucket for bucket, and UCLA was adjusting and getting used to the flow of the game, and that is the Gonzaga Bulldogs team. And once they got adjusted, this is where their defense completely woke up and annihilated and completely wrecked Gonzaga, because in that first half, they stole the ball off them 7 times, and because of how dominant their defense was, they ended up making Gonzaga go scoreless for a 5-minute straight period. Gonzaga was getting points on the board here and there, and their main guy, Drew Timme, was doing everything he possibly could, throwing up anything, getting the pass out, everything, and he did as best as he could, dropping 19 of his 36 points in that first half. As for the second half, it was all Gonzaga, and what Gonzaga did is they completely reciprocated what UCLA did to them in the first half and did it to them in the second half. And here's what happened. and here's how they did it, doing it bigger and better, is they matched the UCLA Bruins scoring 46 total points in their respective halves, but as this second half started, UCLA kept their momentum going as Gonzaga slowly caught up. And the way they slowly caught up was consistency, lockdown defense, and winning off the glass and getting those tough rebounds. And it worked really well. And here's the crazy part. This is the part where Gonzaga really did it bigger and better, is their defense was so good. They weren't even stealing or blocking the ball at all. They were just playing pure, hard lockdown defense, and that helped them catch up and completely surpass the Bruins in the second half. And if you thought 5 minutes is a very long time in not scoring a single basket for basketball, wait till you hear this. Gonzaga made UCLA go 11 minutes and 20 seconds without scoring a single field goal, going on a 20-4 run. Those 4 points are free throws, but they don't count. And here's the thing. UCLA did end up catching up, but they lost because they solely ran out of time. And so are many teams' chances of getting a play-in spot for the 2023 NBA playoffs. And this is specifically for the Western Conference because the 7th seed through the 12th seed, these 6 teams are all within a game and a half of each other, and there are 8 games left in the season for these teams to completely lock it up and try and get the final 4 spots of the play-in tournament, because even the 7th seed right now is not safe. But as for the Eastern Conference, if the season ended today, there's no contemplating on who needs to go where. Now, last night, there were 10 games played last night, and the Memphis Grizzlies ended up clinching a spot for the 13th time in their 28-year history, and they were a part of a huge, massive victory across the entire NBA. But here's the thing. They had the biggest margin of victory, though, at 37, beating the Houston Rockets 151 to 114. But the bigger margin that the Grizzlies were a part of is that there were 10 games played last night, and out of all 10 games, the average margin of victory was 18 points, and the Grizzlies were in first place, beating the Rockets by 37. But here's the thing. That wasn't the best game to watch, obviously, because who wants to watch a 37-point massacre? But the best game to watch was the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Golden State Warriors. And in this game, it was straight offense versus straight defense. And how this game played out is that the shooters just did all the talking and didn't hold back, because the Splash Brothers trio of Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry, they combined for 83 of the 120 points that were scored, and half of those points, 42 of them, came from deep. And between Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, and Steph Curry, they scored 14 of the 18 threes that were made in that game. Straight 3 domination. Now, how this game also played out is that the Warriors and the 76ers, they were going back and forth, going shot for shot, going basket for basket. And at first, the only way to get past and sustain a lead was just to nail a couple of shots in a row, just to get away from the tie. But that hardly happened. And with Philadelphia, they were neck and neck with Golden State up until about probably 75% of the third quarter. And then from there, this is where Philadelphia started to take over the game themselves, because they started to grab a 5, 10, 12-point lead ahead of the Warriors, and it was working for them to just push the ball down the Warriors' throat, but that only worked for so long because the shooters are going to shoot and it's going to pay off eventually, and that's what happened because the Philadelphia 76ers almost won this game because the Warriors didn't get their lead back until there was a few minutes left in the fourth quarter, but then, like I said, shooters gonna shoot, and the Warriors eventually got the lead, and that was the 120-112 victory for the Golden State Warriors. Now, even though the offensive side of the whole basketball game won this game, the most defensive guy on the court in Joel Embiid ended up having the best offensive game out of everybody because he ended up dropping 46 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get Philadelphia the victory. All right, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports media. And please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And I'm out.